So on this feast day of St. Jerome, it was a real gift the other day. I had just I got up really early and I had some real good prayer time for a few hours early in the morning, soaking in the scriptures that we have this week, and it was just really beautiful to see the flow of the readings as the week has progressed, this sort of mini Bible study we've had in the book of Job this week, and it kind of is brought to a sort of culmination for us today. We finally hear God's response to Job, right? We're towards the end of the book at this point, and God is responding to Job's lament. And notice how God responds. He doesn't say, well, Job, let me explain to you why you've been suffering, what you've been suffering. He doesn't do that. He says, like, Job, where were you when I laid the foundations of the world? Where were you when I set the boundaries of the nations? Where were you when I told the sea, this is how far you can go, but no farther? Do you know where the darkness comes from? Do you know where the light hides its face? Have you seen the depths of the ocean? Like, in other words, the Lord is just giving Job this whirlwind tour of creation to help Job see that he just doesn't really see. Like, Job's perspective is so narrow, so small, so finite. It's like going to the movie theater, one of those gigantic, huge, big screen, IMAX screens. You know, to see that screen, you want to be like a good distance away from it, right? You want to have perspective. Job's perspective is like he's got his nose right up against this 800-foot screen. He can only see about this much in front of him, right? What God is saying to Job effectively is, Job, my ways are not your ways and my thoughts are not your thoughts. And Job is realizing, like I said, that his perspective is far too low, far too small, far too limited. I also think it's so beautiful and just so interesting, the psalm that the church gives us today to contemplate, right? We've had for the past few days Psalm 88, right? The psalm of lament. We've been in Job's heart, so to speak, crying out to the Lord from the depths. We don't have Psalm 88 today. We have Psalm 139, which is a beautiful psalm. It's a beautiful psalm. What is this psalm about? It's a recognition of, like, I can't run from the Lord. It's a recognition that God is everywhere, and he's pressing in upon me. I cannot run from him. He's in and through everything, that God is conspiring against me, not to bring about my destruction and downfall, but he's trying to bring about my greatest good and my greatest flourishing. It's this sort of like putting down the arms, like this sinner who's finally recognizing, I surrender. I surrender. It's a relinquishing posture to the Lord, realizing I can't hide from you. Lord, you know me. From the depth of my being, you know me. Like, somehow God, like, in and through all the vicissitudes of my life, in and all through all the things that I experience, including the greatest tragedies, including the greatest losses, including the greatest traumas and all of that, that God has been at work and is at work in all of it. All of it. Like, we never outran him. Even in our darkest places, he's there. This is the artistry of God. This is the God of providence. This is where Job is realizing this is a father he can trust. And I love how at the end of the reading he says, I will put my hand over my mouth. Because he realizes as he comes to stand before this God in the immensity of the mystery of who God is, all that Job can do is just shut his mouth. In fact, the word mystery comes from the Greek word muein, which means to close one's mouth. Like, before the mystery of God who brings about life from death, the God who's probing me from the depth of my being in my own mother's womb, the God who, allows me to be plunged into suffering, but only because it's bringing about some great good. I don't understand this mystery. The God who fashions the depths of the ocean, the God who hangs the stars in the sky, all that I can do in my limited perspective is just close my mouth before the mystery. Before the mystery. Friends, this is an invitation again, as always, to trust. Faith is not mere intellectual assent. It's entrustment. Again, that's why Jesus, to St. Faustina, had her write at the bottom of the image, Jesus, I trust in you. I trust in you. I trust in your providence. I trust in the working of your love in my life. I trust that even in the worst, even in the darkest, you're doing something. You're doing something. Even in my wanderings, you're doing something. You're bringing about a good that couldn't have happened otherwise. This is the posture of the child. This is the posture of the disciple. And may this be our posture today. Amen.